welcome back to the channel. My name is Leanne and this is lellybeanTV, the home of Lellybean Studio and me. However, today is another journaling video, and as I said last week, it is flip through my reading journal, how I use it and how I'm going to be using it next year. I have managed to get 2 years in this journal. I have very nearly done a whole year of journaling. I'm recording this intro on the 15th of December. I'm not entirely sure when I've recorded the actual flip through. That might be a little bit later on. I'll put a time on the next, when we go over. But a little bit about me and reading. I am in my 30s. I'm very open about that, and I didn't think that I would ever say that I'm sat here as a reader. I wouldn't think that I'm sat here with a Kindle that is covered in stickers, and this being one of my favourite ways to read a book. And currently I am sat on 37 books read this year. When I targeted myself and said I was only going to do 10, I have, like many people my age, found the amazing romantasy genre, and I've fallen head over heels. There were some more other things that I've read, but I wanted to have a go at doing my own book journal, mainly because there was a few people in the community that wanted to do it too, and I've done it. I'm very excited to show you what I've done, how I've done it. I'll try not to hide I will try and hide reviews as much as I can. However, I'm excited to flip through it and then also flip through my 2025 setup and how I'm going to use my book journal going forward. So if that is something that you're interested about, and maybe you want to start a reading journal and you're not entirely sure how to do it, please keep watching. Yeah. So I feel a bit like I'm an imposter recording this video because I have only really been a book journaler / book reader in the last year or so. But I'm going to sort of go through what I'm currently using and what I'm going to be using in 2025 and why it didn't work for me. I'm also going to be going through showing you the books that I've read, the types of books that I've read and the way that I'm reviewing them. I'm going to blank out my thoughts on them so I don't give you any ideas, but I'm going to show you how as a beginner I have used it. Now I have got my Kindle on here because my camera doesn't like the black journal, but I have been using this Archer and Olive square journal, and I'm going to be using it for next year. I got this one from Miso Paper as well because there was a little bit of damaging on it. I think it was due to the ampersand here from Archer and Olive here in the paper, but I never noticed it. I went for a square journal just because I love a square journal and I never know what to do with it, so it made sense to make it my book journal. Now I'm going to very quickly move my Kindle so it doesn't get dark on here and show you the inside. So some of this won't make sense because it is set up for next year, but I have just sort of used the front of this just to showcase some stickers because I had a lot of bookish stickers, didn't know what to do with it, and I have done it like this. As with any of my journals, I always have the first page is always this quote, and I've made it a little bit different with each turn of the page, so it's my quote and it is still there. The next page over I have the bean method. It goes into any of my journals that I use. It's one of those things that I've done all the time. And then there's this bookmark that a couple of friends bought me. There are a couple of friends that got me into reading actually. So yeah, so let me talk about this. So as you can see here, I have made this waterfall Dutch door, and this is where we're going to have a little bit of talking about this is how I set up this year and what we're going to do for next year, as well as talking about what I've made differently. So this is my favorite spread that I have ever made, and I have definitely replicated this. This is my pages in pixels. I have always said that I never knew what to do with an in pixels tracker, but this one just made the most sense to me and I've really enjoyed it. So this is the pages in pixels. I go by chapter. all pages, so that's why it's a bit scribbly, but it's a bit neater in the next one. Then I was like, oh, everybody does a bookshelf. I gave up with this very, very quickly. I have read more than the books that are on here. I do have a new idea for next year, which I will talk to you about, but this didn't work for me in this current era and how it worked. Here in the middle, I was like, I'm going to start writing my TBR because this is what it is. And then if anyone that is a reader, you very, very quickly discover that your TBR is never ending. Forget if it's physical or digital. At the time, I didn't have my Kindle, so I was reading primarily physical. Now my Kindle is my best friend, so yes, I'm a digital reader now. Then we had this. So originally this was just going to be a wish list and a you should try, but then I got into series and I needed to do a bit of a series tracker, so I added on this little flip out here. It's very messy, as you can see, and I just filled it up with loads of little stickers and things like that. And then the next page after that was just like a nice little quote page before I go into the book log, which is the quote says, the more you read, the more things you will know, the more that you will learn, the places you will go. It's a Dr. Seuss quote, and I really, really loved it. And then we go into the book log. So I am going to blur out anything that is here so that you can't see what is here because of the way that I started to review it. I just started writing, and I did these retrospectively because I'd already read these last year. So we've got Fourth Ring, A Court of Thorn and Roses. I think you can see where I'm going here. This is just the way that I like to write my books. Like, I know I do use Storygraph. I am on Storygraph. Follow me on there if you like. However, there's something about writing it in a book. It feels even more romantic. But yes, these are books that I read last year. This is the style. I really, really don't like the way that I've done this, but it's fine. Just for the purpose of this video, I wanted to show you what basically I was doing. And then we went into a new year, and this is 2024. This is one of my favorite spreads, and I've sort of replicated it this year for going into next year. This is sort of my stats page. So when you go on Storygraph and Goodreads, it gives you a stats page, and this is what I've done, but this is my notes on it. So I've got every single month of the year, and on here I'm tracking the pages I've read, the books I've read, the days I've read. I will be changing this for the new year. You'll see why, because there's something else that I want to add in there. But this is just a nice way for me to see how many days, like if there's any trends to my reading, if there's anything going on in the year, and that. Then I decided that it would be a good idea to do a review key in my different colours. I didn't know anything about any review systems or anything like that before, but this is what I was doing. Very, very quickly stopped it. And then I did book bingo. I actually have ticked these all off now. I haven't coloured them all in. I ended up doing Wicked at the end of this year, and I read one of the books in the day as well. So I've done everything. And I did a read along. I did a read without audio. I started off as an audiobook reader, book viewer, and now I am audio listener, and now I do a little bit of both. It makes it a little bit easier for me. And then we just go on. So some of them are decorated, some of them are not. In here, just as a special mention, one of my dear friends, Mel, wrote me for my birthday a poem, and it is beautiful. I'll open it up so that if you want to pause so that you can read. If you are an ACOTAR reader, if you've read all of the ACOTARs, pause and read it. If you haven't, I think you'll need up to book 3 before it becomes a bit like it's not spoilery after that, but yeah. That it was just beautiful. It needed to go in my journal. And then we carry on. So we carry on. I did start writing how many chapters I did. So this one is a little bit different. And I mean, I can't show you what's on there, but you can see the colours. I started writing it as a reading log, so remembering what happened previously. However, that doesn't work for me. And I very, very quickly discovered that. And yeah, I discovered that. This was the first series that I ever finished, which was the Once Upon a Time series. So, Once Upon a Broken Heart. So I just did a separate spread for that. And then we carried on. So we carried on. I've finished Crescent City. I have done Divine Rivals. Oh my gosh, these books were brilliant. I love these books. And then we did Throne of Glass. And you'll notice that this spread isn't finished because I am not happy. I'm like, this is the series review. I'm just literally doing this so that you can't read what it says. I'm not happy that it's finished. This is one of my books of the year. Definitely. I haven't finished that spread yet. But oh my gosh, yes. And then carried on. So that is literally how it is. And then you'll see at the pages at the end, there's a little bit of a different style. And that was more just to fit everything in. And you'll notice a new sticker that's on here. Going into 2025. So this is my 2024 in review. I will show you this like when I record 2025, but this is going into 2025 and this is my plans for 2025 and how I'm going to make it a little bit different and a little bit easier to follow. So I have got the same sort of waterfall layout here. I have really, really, really enjoyed this. I'm about halfway through this book, so that's why I'm continuing with it. I have a library again. My idea with this library this time is I am going to mark on here the books in colour code. So I'm not going to do anything other than colour it in. And I'll colour the bookshelf in as well. But I am just going to colour it in depending on how many stars it has. So I just think that that's going to be easier to manage. I have pages in pixels using exactly the same colours as this year. And oh my gosh, this is one of my favourite spreads. Then we have challenges. So I want to read 25 in 25, and these are the types of books I want to read. So this is my 25 in 25. I would like to finish it quite early. I'm probably going to read more than that this year. I'm on par to hit 40 books this year. I would love to do the same next year, but we'll see. I'm going to set a target. My target is 25 books, and we'll see. And then this is Days Read Challenge. I've not done so well this year on how many days I've read. I don't know, the year hasn't finished yet, but I would like to read 300 days next year, and I'm going to mark it off. I'm going to colour in a book every time I hit a certain amount. So the goal is 300. So I think I worked out there's 15, so it's 20 days each time. Then we have the release radar. So this is basically where I know books are coming out, where they're coming out so that I can plan my reading. It's a bit bare right now because there isn't much to go in here. We then have our book club book. I am in a couple of book clubs. Always Reading is the one that is in my community. We do have our January book already. I need to just print out another picture for it, but this is January. Then we have what is my favourite spread, the 2024 spread book for 2025. And the square is actually the rating because I want to do as the review, the average rating. Then for book challenges, I've done it a little bit differently. So these stickers are challenges that I think I can reach. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour them in and then I'm going to write the book title underneath, just so that this whole page becomes really full of just like loads of different colours, loads of different styles of handwriting. There's more, I'm sorry, but this is like how going forward, and I think it's going to work for me a bit better. We then have my rating system. I'm going to use a Book Roast's core pile system, and I've changed it a little bit for suiting me. And I have like put these in brackets that make more sense to me. So I have written these down, and these are sort of questions for me to think about. So characters, are they memorable? Do the side characters add to the plot? Like, do you want to talk about them for the rest of your life? Will you compare them to other people in other books? Atmosphere, how immersive was the read? Were you in the setting? I know I put an apostrophe there, and we are in this, you in the setting. Anyway, it's fine. It's for me anyway. The writing, was it easy to follow and understandable? There were some books that just babble, and they babble, and they babble, and they babble, and you're like, oh my gosh, this could have just been like a one sentence word. So that is that thing. The plot, what was the pacing like? Do you want to read more? So this is more for those series books where you read in the first book and you want to get to the end and you're like, okay, I want to know what happens next. Sometimes I don't like a cliffhanger for the sake of it. Intrigue, how much have you theorized? Do you want to know what comes next? So is there a theory about the story before the end of the book? Have you guessed where the plot's going to go? That's the sort of questions I'm asking myself. The logic is, was the world building clear? Does it make sense? Is there plot holes in the magic? I'm mainly a fantasy reader, but like, for example, for not fantasy, for example, is there a reason that the characters fall in love or anything like that if it's a romance? And then enjoyment. How much did this make you enjoy, imagine the world? I want to go and live in the Akatar world. I want to go and live possibly in Landlark world as well. Like, I would love that. Lightlark world. And Belladonna world is really nice as well. Like, all of these worlds are great. So I put those there. And then also, just so that I have a little bit of an idea where the ratings are, I put a little sticker here so that when I don't have to keep flipping back to this page, but this is just in here so that it's nice. And I did print it out because I messed up the way that I wrote it underneath. Then we have an overview. I know this is like duplicating the information, but this is just so for me so that I can see the rating and it's all written in individual pages so that I flick through. I have put 42 books on here. I possibly am going to fill this all in. And if I do end up having to put more than 42 books, I will just, I'll put a flip through. I'll put a flip out. And then there's a little bit of a series tracker here. I'm probably going to end up having to do a flip out for this as well. And then the final bit is my 5-star reads. I'm not very happy with the way this is laid out, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick a picture in of what my 5-star reads are and then maybe date it. And then we're going to go on to January, which I am going to do a little bit differently. I've made myself a little stencil, and every single month, although you can see these are books that I want to read, every single month I'm going to do like a little bit of a header page about like how many books I've read and like theme it a little bit. But yeah, that is my book journal. It works for me. I really, really love it. And as a baby reader, it is something that I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, thank you for watching. And just like that, that is the end of another video. I really, really hope you like it. I know I'm not going to be able to really do a reading journal like this next year. I might do a flip through, like with my journal flip throughs. But for now, keep living that big happy adventure. Stay positive. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye guys. Bye, 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 bye.